Hare Krishna, we will start our session now by offering the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are going to discuss in this Vaishnav Bhajan series the Guru Ashtakam written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of the great acharyas in our line. After Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamanand Pandit and Srinivas Acharya. So this is another very powerful acharya who came in the line of our disciplic succession. And then his commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam, even Bhagavad Gita, so they are considered to be really very wonderful, um, like treasures. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, most of his commentaries are based on Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vidyabhushan. So these are very, very prominent acharyas in our disciplic succession. And no, they have given, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given very mercifully this Guru Ashtakam for us to remember every single day, right? So many people, many times we wonder like why in ISKCON first Arati, like we have to chant this Guru Ashtakam. So and why is that we are doing Arati to the Lord, but then we have to chant the Guru Ashtakam prayers. So why is it so? So the benediction sloka, which is the last sloka of this Guru Ashtakam. So I've just put it in the first. So this is after the eighth sloka, after the Ashtaka. So this is the Falastuti is mentioned here. So let's read this thing. Srimad Goror Ashtakam Etaduchet Brahme Muhurte Patati Prayatnat Yastena Vrindavananata Sakshat Sevai Valabhya Janashos the Eva. That means one who with great care and attention loudly recites this beautiful prayer to the spiritual master during the Brahma Muhurta obtains direct service to Krishna and the Lord of Vrindavan at the time of his death. So this is the benediction that has been given by by the author himself, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur himself. So one who loudly recites this beautiful prayer, early in the morning during Brahma Muhurta, he actually obtains the direct service to Lord Krishna, the Lord of Vrindavan. So this such a powerful, very very powerful this one, the prayers actually. So it is by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that we are able to recite this prayer every single day in the morning, and then we have to meditate upon the meaning of this, and then we have to meditate on how the spiritual master is very amazingly engaged in devotional service, and then what are the various ideals of Lord Chaitanya's movement, and how our spiritual master is engaged in those ideal aspects. And then by mercy of Sri Guru, we can be delivered from this ocean of material existence. So it is always a very important practice for a sadhaka that he has to meditate upon the like mercy of Sri Guru, and also he has to meditate upon how confidential the spiritual master is, and how intimate his relationship is with Krishna. So this is a very important meditation that one has to do. So Raghunath Das Goswami mentions this particular meditation in the Manas Siksha. section of like it is a kind of a bhajan that is there. So in that he mentions this thing. So this is the way of meditation on the spiritual master, right? So now let us see the prayers one by one, and then let us chant the prayers, and then after that we'll read the translation, and then we will also see the explanation of that particular prayer. So now first sloka. So it is Samsaradava Nalali Daloka Tranaya Karunya Gana Ganatvam Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. So this is the afternoon tune we sing, and generally like when any spiritual masters Vyasa Puja or Tirobhav Tithi and Avirbhav Tithi and all. So we chant this particular tune, but otherwise daily the morning tune is a little different. So that is it goes like this. Samsaradava nalalida loka Tranaya karunya gana ganatvam praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. So this is the tune that we sing in the morning, and this we see that samsara means the material world, and dava anala means the forest fire, and leader means afflicted, and loka is people in general, and pranaya means to deliver, and karunya ganaganatvam. So karunya means like karuna means mercy, and ganaganatvam means the quality of cloud. Just like a cloud, how it pours water on a forest fire and then it extinguishes. In the same way, the spiritual master showers the mercy upon the people of this world who are afflicted by the forest fire of the material existence, right? And then how is the spiritual master getting this power? Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya. So that is praptasya means who has obtained, and then kalyana is auspicious, and gunarnavasya means arnava, like what is that? Like it is an ocean, and guna means the qualities. So, like he is deriving the mercy from the ocean of mercy, or in other words, the Supreme Lord Krishna, or the parampara, like that is there. So that's how the spiritual master is getting the mercy, and then he's showering it on the people in general, or the disciples who are afflicted by the forest fire of this material existence, right? So let's read the translation. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, who's an ocean of auspicious qualities. Right. So here we see that spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. No, that is the Lord, or the Guru Parampara, we can say. And then this analogy, this metaphor that is there, it's very, very amazing metaphor. If there is a forest fire, you cannot send fire brigades to put off the forest fire. So any amount of water that you put into, it will just gulp it, and then it is just going to enrage, and then it is going to spread like anything. So forest fire cannot be put off like a normal fire of this world, right? So that is not the way the forest fire is put off. Forest fire can only be put off by the rain which is coming from the clouds. So that is how this is being put here. So that rain that is coming from the clouds, that only can actually put off the forest fire. And spiritual master's mercy is compared to that. Is it a exaggeration? Is it something like definitely spiritual master's mercy is there, but then why is it so exaggerated that it is compared to a forest fire, and then the mercy of spiritual master is compared to the rain, and this is the only way, and there is no other way. right? So there is an explanation for this. We can actually see that how this blazing fire is the tendency to enjoy separate from the Lord. No, that is there in the conditioned soul. So that is the samsara, that is the material consciousness, and that is the material disease that is actually engulfed like a forest fire. And then cure for this is to be to desire to be engaged in the service of the Lord, or to be engaged in the service of the Lord. So that's the cure for this thing, right? And it is technically described, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur himself in some other books. He has actually, in Madhurya Kadambini, there is one nice book is there. So which talks about this Adav Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, like that, all these different stages. And a prelude to that, he explains that how this bhakti or desire to serve the Lord is not possible by any combination of matter. Bhakti is completely independent. Bhakti can be produced only from bhakti. So it is not possible for bhakti to be produced by any other means other than itself. So we cannot put off the misery of this world by some social service and things like that. And we cannot put off this fire of blazing fire of material existence, or the dissatisfaction of this world, by any karma kanda process of karma kanda is just like following the Vedic scriptures just for enjoying in this world. And karma yoga process, so like where a person is having desire to enjoy, but then he is also giving the results to the Lord. He's also actually using the results in the service of the Lord. So there also there is, if there is a contact of pure devotee, there's a different this one. But then, like in general, the contact is not there. So it is not generally it is not possible for anybody to get this kind of mercy, right? And then we see that karma yoga, jnana yoga. So jnana yoga also, like a person doesn't get to the point of associating with a pure devotee. And Ashtanga yoga also, like jnana yoga and Ashtanga yoga are still more difficult because they set themselves aloof from the general masses, and they keep themselves aloof. And meeting a pure devotee may be sometimes very difficult for them, at least for karma yoga. So sometimes it is possible that they meet a pure devotee of Lord in their journey, but then no other processes, still it becomes difficult. And bhakti yoga is a process which can actually give us this particular benediction of like putting off the blazing fire. So, but then this bhakti yoga, how it can be practiced? Now, how is it? How does it start in the first place? So, in the Bhagavatam readings, we have been seeing that no shrushruto shraddhadanasya vasudeva katharuchi shan mahat sevaya vipra punya tirtha nishevana. So the root of bhakti is first association of a devotee, or even unknowing service to a devotee. No, that's what creates sukruti, and that's what like actually creates bhakti in the heart of a person. So without a devotee in the picture, there is no possibility of bhakti coming into the picture. So the people in general, they are associated with the Paramatma, the super soul, since time immemorial, since long, long time. So they have been associated with the super soul, but then they have not turned into devotees. So association of Lord also sometimes is not sufficient enough. Sometimes we see in Bhagavatam that many times the Lord appears in front of the Devatas, in front of like many different personalities and things like that. But it is not possible for them to understand the Lord and completely surrender into Him and things like that. But if they get an opportunity to meet a devotee, so then they become they start their devotional process, right? So simply meeting the Lord is also not sufficient enough. So why it is not sufficient enough? Because bhakti is the one which is going to which is going to kind of remove us from this blazing fire of material existence. And in one sense, if we say like Lord doesn't have bhakti, except for Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya has bhakti to Lord Krishna. He comes to taste that particular bhakti. In fact, that is one of the contemplations of Lord Chaitanya. So I have not tasted these mellows, what my devotees are tasting and what Radharani is tasting. I have not tasted this mellows at any point in time. So I would like to taste this particular thing. So that's the mood and attitude with which Lord Chaitanya actually comes. And So we see that a devotee has bhakti in his heart, and only bhakti can create bhakti because it is completely independent. It cannot be produced by any material activity. No, like if I do a lot of charity, will I get bhakti? If I do a lot of good punya and material punya and things like that, will I get bhakti? No, it is not possible. Only by the association of a pure devotee who has bhakti in his heart, so we will be able to get bhakti. Right? So that's the this one. That's a very key aspect over here. And then when the Lord becomes, that's why it is also mentioned, when the Lord becomes very, very merciful on a person, He gives him the association of a pure devotee. Right? So that's why we see many devotees when they offer prayers to the Lord, so they ask for the association of pure devotees. One may think that, okay, like the Lord is achieved, the Supreme Lord is there in front of such a person, so what more he wants? No, what is that he wants now? So but then here we see that the Lord is present, but the goal is not the Lord. The goal is devotional service unto the Lord. And goal is bhakti towards the Lord. And the bhakti, or how to perform the bhakti, the intensity of bhakti, we can only learn from a devotee of the Lord, right? So that is why a devotee puts so much more emphasis on the association of other exalted Vaishnavas than like meeting the Lord himself, right? So a devotee is very busy executing the service of the Lord, and he is not that much interested in having the personal darshan of the Lord. So if he can get the darshan of the Lord, he is very grateful and he is very eager to have. But then, he is personally, he would like to serve the Lord, right? So that is why our philosophy is also not that we will end up serving the Lord directly. So our philosophy is that we want to become servant of the Lord. So that means we don't keep an aspiration of like I just show up and I have to show up in front of the Lord and things like that. So if I can get it, if Lord is merciful and if he wants to award that to me, I'm very like I'll be very grateful, and I'll be eternally indebted uh, for that gift that the Lord is giving. But then like a highest treasure in the life of a devotee is service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here we see that the spiritual master, it's a very nice meditation, that I am stuck in this material pool, I'm deeply stuck in this material pool, and then it is only by the mercy of the Lord no I can be saved. And when I say mercy of the Lord, what is this mercy of the Lord? For a conditioned soul, mercy of the Lord means mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord. So because Lord's mercy comes through that way. So here we see the spiritual master is praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya. So he is actually deriving great, deriving the mercy from the ocean of mercy, and then he is delivering it to the fallen conditioned souls, right? So that's the channel with which the mercy of the Lord comes. So whenever we hear that, oh, somebody was delivered by the mercy of the Lord, that means immediate question is, who is the devotee who brought the mercy to him? So that's how it works out actually. So in this way we can see that the bhakti unto the Lord can only be got through the spiritual master, through a pure devotee of the Lord. That is why it is, a devotee becomes so much indebted to the spiritual master that without his mercy, I could have not got this one. I could have not been able to be saved from this ocean of material existence, or the forest fire of material existence. And then it is only way that is possible is this. And all other processes, karma kanda, jnana kanda, and all those things, so they are like different fire brigades. They can come and put some water, but something will, little fire will get off, but then within no time it will again catch up, right? It's only by the mercy of a pure devotee who is very intensely executing devotional service, who's very intensely remembering the Lord. So only through that channel I will be able to get rid of this forest fire of material existence. That's why Vande Guru Sri Charana Ravindam. So Vande means offering obeisances. Goroho means what is that? Of the spiritual master, and Charana Ravindam is unto the lotus feet. So like it is like I offer my obeisances unto the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So Guru Ho means like of the spiritual master, right? So Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. So that's how we chant this prayer. And then let's see the next prayer, the second one. So it is chanted like this: Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nritya Gita Vaditra Madhyan Manasorasena Romanchakam Pashru Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam. So here we see that Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nritya Gita Vaditra Madhyan Manasorasena. So it is like of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtan. By kirtana means chanting and also singing, and then nritya is dancing, and Gita is singing. Especially and then so through this, the spiritual master's mind is always absorbed in the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? And then Rasena means mellows of pure devotional service, that is different rasas. And then Romancha is like the standing of hairs on the end, and Kampa means like quivering of the body, and Ashru means the tears, and Taranga means like a flow of tears, right? And then the spiritual master feels in this way, right? So now let's read the translation. Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind. Sometimes his hair stand on end. He feels quivering in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So here, like many different ways we can split and sing this thing. So generally, I would prefer this Ashru Taranga, to be together. So Romancha, Kampa, Ashru Taranga. So or otherwise, we can actually put as Romancha, Kampa, Ashru Taranga. So like that, we can Ashru. Sometimes it becomes some other vikara, like when we chant. So it is better to chant in this way: Romancha, Kampa, Ashru Taranga Bhajo. So like every word is clear over there in that way, right? And here we see that the Sankirtan mission. So what is the Sankirtan mission that the spiritual master is very much engladdened and very much absorbed in doing? So that is chanting the holy names of the Lord, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments. So these things are considered to be very important angas of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. In fact, the Mridanga, Kartal and all these things are, if we go to some places like Orissa and all these places. So before Sankirtan, they would keep in puja like this Mridanga Kartal and all. They worship first Mridanga Kartal, then after that they start the singing process, bhajan process and all. So we should have lot of respect for these things. And we see that spiritual master is absorbed in these various activities. And also our dear Param Guru, or the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. So he, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, so he gives new meaning to the Sankirtan. So he also puts it as book distribution and spreading the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu everywhere and things like that. So we can see that the spiritual master is always completely engaged in the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So in fact, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave this, what is that, word Brihat Mridanga for the books. So because the Mridanga can vibrate and the sound can be heard no few meters away, but then the books, they are recorded kirtan, and then they can travel across, they can go to different places all over the world, it can go. And then wherever people open up and then they start reading, again the kirtan starts, right? So in this way, the books are considered to be the Brihat Mridanga. And by we can see that how our spiritual masters are engaged, how Srila Prabhupada is engaged in in the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the way in which we have to meditate upon the spiritual master. So we may see so many different aspects, but then the acharyas are giving light that what is in it, what is that we have to see in the spiritual master. What is it that we have to glorify in our spiritual master? So, and that is, it's a mercy of our parampara that we are able to get precise things, which we have to see and absorb in our spiritual master, and then observe in our spiritual master, and then glorify, right? And then he is relishing pure mellows of devotional service, like hair standing on end, feeling quivering of the body and flow of tears, right? So this is how spiritual master is performing his bhajan, his service to the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So now let's see the next sloka. So this is spiritual master is engaged in the worship of the Lord, and he also engages his disciples as well, right? So let's chant this sloka. Shri Vigrahara Dhana Nityanana Shringara Tanmandira Marjanado Yuktasya Bhaktam Chanunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. So here, this words, Shri Vigraha Aradhana. So sometimes this words in the split or in the mixing, like it mixed too much. So then Aradhana doesn't come out, because that is the way the tune is. So we should always understand that it is Shri Vigraha Aradhana. So Shri Vigraha Aradhana Nitya Nana. So and then so all the time, he's engaged in that. And Shringara means the decoration of the Lord. Nana means various, and various kinds of Shringara he's doing. And then this one, of the Lordships. And then Mandira Marjanado. So that is the cleaning of the temple, that is there. And Yuktasha, Yukta means to engage. Yuktasha means who's engaged. And then Bhaktan, his disciples, Cha, and Niyunjato. So Niyunjata means who also engages. So he's engaging the other devotees, his disciples, also in the service of the this one. So he himself is yukta, he himself is engaged, and then he is engaging his disciples and devotees in the service of the Lord, right? So in such a spiritual master's lotus feet I worship. So that's the meaning of this sloka. So here we see the spiritual master is engaged in the temple worship, and he is engaging his disciples as well. So what is the deity worship means? Deity worship means to offer nice arati or aradhana. So, and then all the time offering different varieties of shringara, and then for the Lord, and then cleaning of the temple. So that is also a very important thing. So cleaning of the temple is also considered to be in line with the Vigraha Aradhana, so or worship of the deity, right? And then also holding big festivals. So sometimes we may think that only Brahmin initiated people, or only qualified people can approach the deity room. No, other people, they will not be able to get the service. So how is the spiritual master engaging all the devotees in the service of the Lord? So by having festivals, by having many different programs where people are coming and then we are serving. So all the people who are coming to the temple are the guest of the Lord, and then we are engaged in serving them. So that's equivalent to serving the Lord. That's how spiritual master actually expands the service and engages all the devotees in the service of the this one of the deities, right? So then next sloka is Chaturvida Shri Bhagavat Prasada Svadvanna Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangan Kritvaiva Kritim Bhajata Sadaiva Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam. So here we see that Chaturvida means, so here in the translation nicely mentioned, the four kinds of Bhagavat Prasad. So four kinds of foods are always offered to the Lord. So it is analyzed as that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. So these are all the different kinds of foods that is offered. And then Swadvanna Tripthan Hari Bhakta Sangan. So he is Svadva means like it's palatable, Anna means food, it's palatable food that has been offered to the Lord. And then Triptana, spiritually satisfied. So Haribhakta Sangha, the devotees of the Lord are there. And then having made them happy by providing them the prasadam, right? So, and who feels very satisfied by this thing, right? So here we see the spiritual master is always offering Krishna four kinds of delicious food, analyzed as that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasad, he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So here we see that some important aspects of this sloka is that Lord is provided for his satisfaction. So nice boga is offered to the Lord by wonderful preparations and things like that. And then after the boga is offered, what is the thing? Next thing is prasadam comes. Is it that immediately prasadam comes, the spiritual master takes? No. He sees that the devotees are fed the Bhagavad Prasad, and then the devotees are satisfied by having the Bhagavad Prasad. So seeing this, the spiritual master becomes satisfied, right? So this is a very important thing. So it is not in the material world, what is the satisfaction? If there is something nice that is there, oh, that has to be offered to my senses. Once my senses are gratified, then I'll become satisfied. So that's the logic of this material world. And here we can see that, first the spiritual master, he engages in preparing this prasadam, and then he is offering the prasadam to the Lord, and then he is satisfying the Lord, and then he's seeing the devotees of the Lord are having this prasad, and then they are becoming satisfied, and then he becomes satisfied by seeing such a thing. So this is mentioned as Yashmin Tushte Jagat Tushtam. So this is like when the Lord is satisfied, so then everything is satisfied. And especially a devotee becomes satisfied. So when he sees that the Lord is satisfied and the devotees, other devotees are satisfied. So real satisfaction comes from satisfying the senses of the Lord, right? So that is how that is the definition of bhakti, right? So what is that? A very nice quote which Prabhupada often gives. Mhm. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti ruchate. So this is we have to give up all other upadis, all other designations as which is the root of all these other designations of this material world, is how in the end I can satisfy my senses, and give up all those things, and then come to the point of satisfying the senses, using the senses in the service of the master of the senses, right? So that's the real satisfaction. And then this thing goes a step further than that. It says that the satisfaction also come from seeing the senses of the devotees satisfied. So one time a devotee asked a question that our philosophy seems to be quite contradictory. So why? Because the devotee is expected, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told, that balana kaibe, balana paribe. So do not eat so much luxuriantly, and do not dress yourself very luxuriously and things like that. So but then you go anywhere, like devotees actually, in the name of prasad, in the name of feeding the Vaishnavas, they give too much of prasad. So how can we practice this one? So we are telling we should have devotee association, we should have 6 kinds of exchanges between the devotees, and then if we go to their homes, so they are feeding more, and then the injunction is that we have to eat less. So how is it possible? So even it is mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, when he was serving, so he used to serve almost 3-4 people's prasadam for one person. So he used to serve lot of prasadam to the devotees, right? So it is seen that the real satisfaction, we are not, the philosophy is that it's not that devotee should not enjoy prasad. That is not the thing. I should not enjoy. So my senses should not be unrestrictedly allowed. So when we see other devotees, we see them to be, oh, these are all nice, exalted devotees. And if the prasad is offered to them, so this is mercy of the Lord. So they have full consciousness that each and every morsel of this prasad has touched the lips of the Lord, and it is it is fully imbued with the spiritual potency. and then when they accept this prasad, they'll be very, very happy. So that's the mood like a devotee actually sees towards the prasadam. So, and he sees that no, I have desire to enjoy this Mahaprasad of the Lord, no, just for my senses. But then other devotees are not like that. So I should provide them nicely, right? So in this way, like a devotee also sees that no other devotees' senses are satisfied, and no, it should not become like a harassment. Sometimes, no, this also happens. Like we should not harass a devotee by he's already full and then still we serve too much. Then it is not a very good service. Also, so we should be very careful and our goal should be, the whole thing is know how to satisfy the devotee. So that should be the goal, right? So it is not that no, I should serve so much, then I will become satisfied. Otherwise, no, Prabhuji, like no, you came to our home and then we tried to feed you and you have not eaten sufficiently. I am not satisfied. The whole thing is not meant for my satisfaction. It is meant for the person whom I'm no satisfaction. I have to satisfy the person whom I am serving. No, not my satisfaction. No, like so that is a very important point. And then for oneself the sense gratification is like poison, but then by seeing others getting the this one prasad, so one should become very happy. So like if others are eating nice sweets and nice prasadam and things like that, we should be very happy. So they are having nice prasadam. In fact, this is one of the sign, this is like non-envious nature. That means no, when another devotee is getting some nice mercy of the Lord, so then no, I should become happy, no, seeing by seeing that kind of this one. So here we see, no, we may be struggling with this envious nature and things like that, but we meditate on this quality of the spiritual master. That spiritual master is completely free from envy. His whole existence is meant for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. And then, no, he's if some prasad comes, no, he's distributing it to the devotees, and he's seeing that devotees are getting the mercy of the Lord, and then he's very satisfied, no, by seeing that. So this is the mood of the spiritual master. And then, no, we should meditate, no, about our spiritual master in this way, that no, he is giving himself out completely for the satisfaction of the Lord and for the satisfaction of the devotees, right? And he's not, no, he's completely non-envious. And no, that kind of a personality is very dear to the Lord. And to such a spiritual master, we offer our obeisances. No, unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, we offer our obeisances. Right. So the next sloka, this is spiritual master is aspiring to relish the nama rupa guna leela of the Lord at every moment. So that's the meditation of this particular verse. And this is chanted like this: Sri Radhikama Davayorapara Madhurya Leela Gunarupanam Nam Pratikshana Svadanalolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam. So here we see that Sri Radhika Madhava. So like this is Srimati Radharani and the Supreme Lord Krishna, right? And then our parampara actually comes in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we all know Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always immersed on the intimate pastimes between Radha and Krishna. So like the mood or the goal, like mood of the acharyas in this parampara is quite exalted, and then no, they wanted to attain the lotus feet of Sri Radha Madhav, and then they want to serve the divine couple in their this one in Vrindavan. So that's our goal actually, being in this parampara. And then no, they are how they are doing it. So they are Leela, Guna, Rupa, Nama, all those things. No, they are actually meditating upon. No, and then so always they are absorbed in these things, right? So let's read the translation. The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and Madhava and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, right? So, like we have to meditate on the spiritual master being very, very close and always engaged in the service of Shri Sri Radha and Krishna. So that's the way we meditate upon the spiritual master. And we see that. So in one practical sense that we can meditate upon is that yes, Lord Chaitanya's Leela is non-different from the Leela of Lord Krishna, right? So in the Krishna's Rasa Leela is compared to the Sankirtan. That is why it is mentioned that in this Kali Yuga only Sankirtan will work. Why? Because this is the most powerful weapon of this is the most powerful spiritual weapon. So only the Sankirtan can actually work in this age, because the degradation is so strong and so much acute problems are there in this world that a powerful, really very, very powerful medicine is required. So that is why in the Kali Yuga of all the ages, this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, and then he comes with the topmost this one what is it, topmost medicine or topmost rasa in the spiritual world. He actually brings that in the form of Sankirtan. Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. So this is the power of the Sankirtan, this one. So it is the most powerful, highest dose medicine that is available in the entire creation, both in the spiritual world and in the material world. And and it is mentioned that this Harinam, or the holy name, is the greatest treasure even in the spiritual world, even in Goloka Vrindavan. So we can imagine that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brings such a greatest treasure, and then he gives it in this most fallen age of Kali Yuga, because when the disease increases, then the medicine also should be very, very powerful to counteract that disease. So when people actually chant the Hare Krishna mantra, so in the form of the sound vibration, Krishna is there with every single devotee, and this is compared with the Rasa Leela pastimes of the Supreme Lord Krishna, right? So in this way, we can actually see that one practical aspect, that the spiritual master, being always engaged in the Sankirtan Leela of the Lord, by spreading the holy name, by spreading the message of Krishna consciousness, and also getting involved in this Sankirtan mission very deeply. So in that way also we can actually meditate upon this particular thing. And so this is just a parallel, just I have heard in another lecture, I just connected it. But it is also that a pure devotee of the Lord, like spiritual master, he meditates upon the divine couple, Sri Sri Radhika and Madhava, right? So this is something that a devotee should meditate upon. The spiritual master is a very close associate of the Lord, and then he is very confidentially engaged in the service of the Lord. So that's a very important meditation that a disciple should do on the spiritual master. So next sloka. Nikunjayuno ratikeli siddhyai yayali bhiryuktirapekshaniya tatratitakshya tativallabhasya vande guru shri charanaravindam. So here we see another very intimate aspects, how spiritual master is servant of the gopis of Vrindavan. So let's see. I don't know where I left this one. Somebody can message in the chat box where I had left. So current had gone, so I lost track. Okay, so okay, let's see. I'll start from the sloka. So it is Nikunja Yuno Ratikeli Siddhyai Ya Libir Yuktirapekshaniya Tatra Didaksha Tativallabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. So here we see the translation. The spiritual master is very dear. Okay, sloka 6 beginning. Okay, no, I'm there only. So the spiritual master is very dear because he is expert in assisting the gopis, who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal affairs within the grooves of Vrindavan. Right? So Nikunja means grooves of Vrindavan. The nice, between the bushes of nice gardens and nice forest grooves of Vrindavan. So I offer my most humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So this is a very nice meditation. And in one lecture, I heard that how we can think of our spiritual master in this way. So this is like one has to like this again the same point. One has to be meditate. The spiritual master is engaged, is very very dear to the Lord, and he's engaged in a confidential service of the Lord. So this is an important meditation. And in our parampara, we see that all that service that we are doing is nothing but the service that is passed down by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire that we are trying to bring to the light, right? So that's what we are working for. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is Radharani, and then Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Rai, so they are Lalita and Vishaka, and the six Goswamis, they are Manjaris and many exalted devotees, and Narottam Das Thakur, Shamanand Pandit, Srinivas Acharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and our dear Srila Prabhupada. So all of them are eternal residents of Goloka Vrindavan, either Manjaris or Sakhis and people like that. So by assisting the mission given by the Guru Parampara, by assisting in the preaching mission, so like automatically the spiritual master is engaged in the confidential services of Radha and Krishna, right? And in this way, like this prayer very nicely fits to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, devotees, and especially like followers of Srila Prabhupada. So this is a very nice meditation that we can have. So that is in terms of Chaitanya Leela. In terms of Krishna Leela also, the spiritual master is very confidentially engaged. So in this way, like a devotee should meditate upon the spiritual master, as a person who's very dear and very close to the Supreme Lord, and he's having personal contact. That's how we should actually meditate upon the spiritual master, right? So and then the next sloka says Sakshadhari Tvena Samasta Shastrar Uktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadvi Kintu Prabhurya Priya Eva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. So it is Sakshad, Haritvena. So it is because of Sandhi, it becomes like Dari. So, but then if you break it, it is Sakshad Haritvena. So, like, he should be treated exactly like Hari, the Supreme Lord. And why it is so? Because Samasta Shastra, it has been mentioned, Uktaha. So it has been mentioned in all the scriptures. And then Tata Bhav Yata Eva Sadbihi. Sad means like devotees of the Lord. And then Sadbihi means by great saintly persons. So it is in the translation, I think it is given as, so it has been confirmed. This is acknowledged by all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. So that's how this thing is. And Kintu Prabhu ya Priya Eva Tasya. So he, however, he is very, very dear to the Supreme Lord. So he's not Lord himself, but then he's very dear to the Supreme Lord, and because of which we should treat him exactly as the Supreme Lord. So now we see Prabhupada often gives this example of a government servant. He is given a very highly posted government servant. He is given as good respect as a person gives it to the nation itself or to the government itself, right? So if, for example, if any minister or even prime minister of our country goes to another country, so if the prime minister is insulted, that means it's an insult to the whole nation. So he is the representative of the country. So in the same way, like we see that the spiritual master is the representative of the Lord, and then he should be treated exactly like how one treats the Supreme Lord. So one time a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada that why are you traveling? No, you're a sadhu. Why are you traveling in such costly cars? So then Prabhupada answered that, no, what is this car? This is made of tin and metal and things like that. Spiritual master is a confidential servitor of the Lord, and he should be offered a golden this one. So this is all nothing actually. So that way he actually gives a response, right? And then we see that the spiritual master, because of these reasons, has to be given the respect as good as the Supreme Lord, and acknowledged in all scriptures. I just could search one a very famous sloka. I didn't search basically. It's a very famous sloka from Srimad Bhagavatam 11, 17, 27, which is often quoted in many places. Acharya mam vijaniyan navamanyeta karhichit na marthya buddhaya shuyet sarvadeva mayo guruhu. One should know the Acharya as myself. So this is the Supreme Lord Krishna himself is mentioning. One should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. No, he is the representative of the Supreme Lord, and then he is representative of all the demigods. So we don't need to do any separate puja for all the devatas. Worship of spiritual master is complete worship of everything. In fact, in one of the recent the daily quotes of Srila Prabhupada, this particular thing had come that if you offer it to spiritual master, the boga, then the offering is complete, because the spiritual master offers it to Krishna. So of course we chant all the offering mantras, spiritual master's mantra, and then Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna's, all the mantras we chant. But then Prabhupada was mentioning that even if you offer it to the spiritual master, then that itself is can be taken as complete offering. So because he is the representative of the Supreme Lord, and he is the representative of all the demigods also. So like no one doesn't need to do any demigod worship. One doesn't need to do like all these various pujas and things like that if he starts worshipping the spiritual master, right? So when we see that Lord Chaitanya like he respected his spiritual master so amazingly, and then like we see in our disciplic succession many cases where how nicely the spiritual masters were worshipped upon, right? So in that way, like we can see that even the sadbihi, like even the great devotees, they also agree upon this point. And then we know that we have personally seen during the Guru Puja of every single day. So we worship the Srila Prabhupada's Murti as we worship the Supreme Lord himself, right? So that's how we practically implement that particular thing. And then like Prabhupada went to one wealthy person's home, and then this wealthy person was busy doing his puja, and then he asked the Prabhupada and his disciples to wait. Then Prabhupada commented that, oh, he doesn't know what is a proper etiquette. No, there is a sadhu that has come to the home, so he should put off all his worship and things like that, and first he should receive the sadhu, because you're worshipping the Supreme Lord, and the Lord's mercy in the form of a sadhu has come to the home. So what is the point of busy doing worship there? So that's not the proper etiquette actually. So this is how this is how we should see. Otherwise it is like the Supreme Lord is coming, but then we are busy in like worshipping the Supreme Lord still in the form of the Murti. So one nice example is also given in this regard. Like deity worship, how important it is, and like service to the spiritual master, or like direct service to the Lord. So if wife and a husband is there, and husband has to go to a faraway place, and then he has to like for some purpose, for earning money. So wife, due to separation from the husband, so she makes a deity of the husband and keeps. And then when the husband comes back, and still if the wife is feeding the deity and taking care of the deity, it is not proper. So like the husband has returned, so then he should be taken care of, right? So in that way, like we see that this particular thing can be meditated upon, that the Supreme Lord is a confidential servitor of the Lord, and he should be offered respect equal to the Supreme Lord. So then the last sloka, Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, Yasya prasadan nagati kuthopi, Dayan stuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam, Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam. So in this sloka, generally, Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Again, no devotees tell Yasa prasadat. So it is not like that. Yasya prasadan. So it should be like the second A should be little high. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. So yasya a prasadan becomes this one, the raise in the A. So like in the first, this one, yasya, it ends with A, and it's the prasadat starts with no, pa. So like it is, no, when you join, so the a remains a small a only. But then yasya and aprasadan means like the two a's, two a combines, then it becomes a like the ucha swar a. So yasya prasadan na gati kutopi. Then dhyayan. So dhyayan means to meditate upon. Dhyayam stavam stasya. Dhyayam stavam stasya yashas trisandhyam. So tasya yasha means like unka gungan. So his glories have to be remembered upon, right? And how much, like it has to be constantly remembered, but at least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So by the mercy of spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. So as we mentioned, that the mercy of the Lord comes through the channel of the mercy of the spiritual master. So if we pray to the Lord saying, please give me your mercy, please give me your mercy, and then the Lord sends devotee and we don't take care of the devotee properly, and then again we go and pray, then the Lord will not be able to give us mercy, right? So without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master. At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, right? So this is like as we discussed in the beginning, it's through the channel of the spiritual master. So bhakti cannot be got by any other means. Bhakti can only be got from a person who has bhakti in the heart. So in that way, the spiritual master who has bhakti in the heart, so he has mercifully given this bhakti to us, and then we have to be very, very grateful to such a personality, right? And then therefore one should always actually always meditate upon spiritual master, but at least 3 times a day in Trisandhya, like in the like we can actually do this meditation upon. So for the brahmanas, like we have to daily do our Gayatri. So that time the prayers for the spiritual master is there in that. So, but otherwise also like this should be made as a practice that morning puja, then evening, and then in the afternoon also. Like anyway, like we take 3 times of prasad. So if we can mark it that before taking my prasad, I should offer my obeisances to spiritual master. So because of his mercy, like I'm getting this prasad to eat. So like otherwise, where will I know the deity worship? Where will I know the like process of like offering the prasad and things like that? So because of his mercy, I'm able to offer, and now I'm able to get the Mahaprasad, right? So in that way, like we can actually meditate upon and we can offer our obeisances, right? So here we close. There is a question here. We understand that offering the bhoga to spiritual master is good enough because spiritual master offers it to spiritual. However, in the physical presence of the spiritual master, can this be done? Meaning, is it okay to offer bhoga directly to the spiritual master when he personally around? So this one, like I had a practical experience that once, like one of the devotees tried to offer something to my Guru Maharaj, and I was there present at that time. So immediately he asked, is it bhoga or prasad? So then the devotee told it is bhoga. So then after that, like Guru Maharaj gave that thing to a devotee, like to be offered and then brought back. So he did that at this one. But then that's the only exposure I have of seeing seeing this particular thing. So I don't know. I know Prabhupada's statement that is there, and then I know this personal incident which I had seen. So I don't know what to make out of these two things. So at least this much I know. And generally what we do is when we offer it to a spiritual master, we offer it to the Lord, and then we take it as prasad only. Like we don't directly take bhoga. That's not a general principle. But then in some exceptions, this can be done also. That's how we can understand it from Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada's quote. Okay, so just a minute. I'll just unmute.
Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yes,
Hare Krishna. So, share one point. I happened to ask this question in one of the deity worship seminars in Vrindavan to the head pujari of Vrindavan temple. That what should be our meditation while we offer bhoga? Should we offer it to our spiritual master, or should we offer it to the Lord, or anything is okay? So he said something which I had not heard before. He said that Prabhupada made this statement to offer the bhoga to the spiritual master in those circumstances when his disciples were not fully trained in the process of mantras and worship. So in order to keep things simple, he said just offer it to the spiritual master. But then he later told me that once you get trained, once you know how to offer it to the Lord, and once you can meditate on the pastimes of the Lord while offering it, then it is recommended that you offer it to the Lord. That will please the spiritual master more. That is the point which he brought in, and just wanted to share.
Oh, very nice point, Paul. Thank you. Okay, so I think we have come to the end of the session. Thank you very much for participating. So let's meditate on the Sri Guru, Srila Prabhupada on a nice way, and then beg for the mercy of Bhakti. No, only by their mercy we can actually advance in devotional service. So thank you very much for attending. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.